Hey, what is going on, guys? So today we're taking a look at Bandai's 30-minute missions kit, the Alto Yellow. This is the 1/44 scale kit, although it's not actually from any series or anything like that. So 1/44 scale, I mean, that's kind of open to interpretation. If you want to pretend like this is from some other universe where this is actually 1/6 scale or 1:1 scale, whatever you want to do, I think the scale is kind of irrelevant. Anyway, it's a really cool model, actually, a lot more interesting than I really had expected. I wasn't planning on reviewing these kits at all, just because I wasn't really all that impressed with how they looked at first. When they first came out, I thought, that looks awesome. Then I thought, as I looked at it more, it just kind of looks like it's, no, I wasn't really too into it. But then a lot of people were asking me, hey, are you going to be reviewing these kits? Will you please check out these kits? And looking forward to seeing your review on these kits. And I thought, alright, I'll check one out. So I picked the yellow version, as I mentioned in the unboxing, just because I actually thought the white one looked the most cool. But I thought white on camera is kind of hard to see without doing any panel lining on it. So I thought yellow would be easier to see. And I'm really glad that I went with yellow, because I actually really like the look of this. It really has a kind of like construction robot kind of look to it, like it's like some utilitarian, not like a war fighting robot, but it's some robot used like on a construction site or a shipping yard or something like that. So it has a kind of cool look, interesting look to it. But anyway, guys, it's a pretty interesting line so far. I don't have any of the option parts that came out for this. As you may know, there's already a few different option sets available for the series, and they've got more on the way. I might check out some more in the future, but I didn't pick up any of the ones from the first line of accessories just because I wasn't really all that interested in them. But just know there's a handful in existence already. But the cool thing is that you can actually use a ton of different stuff, not just the accessories that are meant for this, but you can actually use a whole bunch of different accessories that from different build custom sets, HG build custom sets, or just different HG kits in general. You can use backpacks from different HG kits. It has the same 2-peg backpack adapter for that. A lot of the joints use the same connections that we see in a lot of modern high-grade kits. A lot of recent high-grade kits all use similar joints, so mixing and matching whole arms and legs, things like that is not going to be an issue either. And then on top of all of that, all the Bandai stuff, you can also use pretty much anything from Kotobukiya as well, because it's using the same 3mm peg holes that you see with all the Kotobukiya stuff, so all the frame arms, option parts, and all the MSG option weapons and everything like that that Kotobukiya makes is also going to be compatible. But one thing I should warn you guys about is that the scale, especially on like the MSG option weapons, a lot of those are in a very odd kind of scale compared to Gunpla. They're kind of too big for 1/44 scale Gunpla and too small for master grade Gunpla a lot of the times, I find. So for something like this, if you wanted to give it like a rifle per se from the MSG line, it's probably going to be a little bit large, and you're definitely going to have to modify the handle most likely for it to be able to fit in the hand of this. So that is one thing. If you want to have something handheld that's not Bandai, just keep in mind it's probably not going to fit as is, but with some modification it shouldn't be all that hard. But anything like any HG weapon from anything that Bandai makes is probably going to fit on this. Now obviously, again, this is not Gunpla, but I mean, come on, it's gonna be compatible, and it's meant to be compatible with all of that, so mixing and matching won't really be too much of an issue. Again, this doesn't really have any sort of canon backstory or anything, so it's very open to interpretation, I feel, which is cool. And the really cool thing about this too is that it's really good, solid. Again, if you saw my unboxing, I talked about how it looks like the construction is pretty much exactly like the Leo, and it pretty much is, although I feel the construction is very, very similar to the Leo, but it improves upon that. The construction is better. This is much more solid than the Leo. The Leo had a few weak points, especially like in the ankle armor. That's not an issue for this kit at all. Also, like the stomach joint also came apart very easily on the Leo if you messed around with it too much. This kit feels really, really solid, so it feels really good. It's very easy to pose, very fluid. If you remember a few years back seeing my review of the HG 1/44 scale Revive Arc 72 Gundam, one of the things that I loved about that kit was how easy it is to pose, and this kit is exactly like that. It's just a really, really easy kit to pose. It just, you just move it really quickly into whatever pose you want, and it's just boom, it's very easy to do. But so anyway, guys, I do want to get into talking about the accessories that you do get included in the box with this kit, as well as just showing you some of the finer points of the articulation. Before all that, as always, a huge thank you to USA Gundam Store for making this possible, guys. Check out this kit and some other stuff from the line on their store, and it's all very inexpensive already, but you can save 10% of course off all of that stuff and everything on their site using my coupon code there, ZakuAurelius10. So check that out. The link is down below, as well as the coupon code if you weren't sure about the spelling of my name. I know the name can be complicated for some people, and some people have to check often, but it's all down there in the description for your reference, so check that out. So the first thing that you get included here is a set of stickers. It's just numbers 0 through 9 in black and white, and you have 3 sets, 1 large, 1 medium, and 1 small. I stuck a few on here. basically just to illustrate to you guys how we have the large set of stickers, which are nice, these large numbers, but the kit is so detailed, there's not really any good place to put them. If you want to put like just a single number, like 3 there on this flat part on the chest or something, that would work. But like on the shoulders there's just no room to put the large numbers like anywhere around on the kit. I squeezed them in here, obviously a 30 for the 30-minute missions reference there, onto the thigh there. You could kind of squeeze 2 numbers onto that, but even still it's barely fitting on there. So the medium or small size number is probably going to be the only ones that are really going to be all that really useful for this kit. Other than that, for his main weapon here, we've got the submachine gun. It's got a cool camera there on the top, but there's no sticker or anything for that. Unfortunately, if you wanted a foil sticker or something, that is removable if you want to just have it a little bit more simple like that. This front part there is also removable, but that's for mixing and matching with parts from the different weapon set. The top as well, the camera can be switched with a different camera that's available in one of the option sets. But just wanted to illustrate to you guys that you can sort of customize this as it is just already. Just this is straight out of the box. Kind of cool how the stock of the back is like off to one side, so it kind of fits around the side of the arm. It ends up looking really cool. Of course, that just fits down into the arm like that. No trigger finger actually for that, but if you can ignore that part, it does look pretty cool in hand. The other thing in here is the knuckles. No, not that one. Anyway, this is just a thing that is just supposed to be held in the hand that just is sort of a melee weapon, I guess. Now, this one as well, you can see there's a hole on the top. This is meant to be more so used with the custom set. So one of the custom sets also comes with a bunch of different sword options and things like that, that this is basically going to serve as your handle for those. But anyway, as it is, this one also just fits down into the hand, and it's just this kind of extra thing. It really doesn't look like much of anything. It's just kind of this weird thing he's holding. Almost sort of looks like a really simple sort of beam gun kind of thing, if you can imagine that, but honestly not really all that into it. And kind of disappointed that they made a square hole in the top, so if you wanted to put like a just beam saber effect part into that, you're gonna have to drill that out to make it into a round hole, or cut your beam saber effect part peg for that. It would have been a really good opportunity to just make that a round hole, just make it the same size as their standard size for the 1/44 scale beam saber effect parts to be able to be used with that. So I feel like kind of a missed opportunity there on Bandai's part, but really wouldn't be too difficult to modify that if that's what you wanted to do. And the last thing here is his little companion Roy. So this is apparently just some sort of other like little helper drone kind of thing. It's not really very clear, but it's called a Roy. It looks a lot like one of the tanks like that we would get with the Ironblood Orphans option sets, how we had those little tanks included. It's just a couple of parts, very simple. The top part can be disattached like that. You've got a couple of hard points here. This one here so that it can be attached onto the back skirt like that. So I guess if he's going around, you can carry him along like that. Alternatively, it shows you that you can change out the head for the Roy heads. So if you wanted a kind of 80s looking robot like that, you can have a Roy head on the top of there, and of course that does retain a little bit of movement that you're able to do with that as well. So it's kind of interesting. I can appreciate that. It's a very unique look for that anyway. But alright, so let's go through some of the articulations. So the head has a double joints that will come all the way up to there, very nice, down to there. Behind that clear red visor, you can see there's a little bit of detail in there. That'll look nice once that's painted up, just kind of a mono-eye sort of looking detail there. For the shoulders, those can move out to the front like that. The shoulder can move up on its own up to there. You can bring the arm ultimately up to there, which is a pretty nice upward bend. It's going to be really tight, but you do have rotation there. Just be a little bit careful with that. That feels really almost a little bit too tight, but a nice bend there at the elbow. Just a single joint, but you get a good range of movement out of that. The wrist, of course, just on a ball joint. For the torso section, it doesn't go back at all, but you do have a pretty nice, good stomach crunch there forward, so that's all good and well. Side to side, you also do have a good amount of rock side to side as well, and of course, rotation there at the middle section. No front skirts or back skirts to speak of, but the side skirts do move up and down a little bit, and they also hide another hard point there behind there. So if you remove that bit, you've got another hard point there you could stick something onto there on the side. As for the hips, you've got this very simple yet very effective drop down joint here, how the whole hip joint can be dropped down like that. So that is going to make like some of the kneeling poses and some of the more dynamic poses that you might want to do with this all the more simple to do with this, so that's really awesome. You got some rotation there at the top of the hip. Of course, getting the leg all the way out to the side is not going to be an issue at all the way out to the front like that. We got a nice full double joint here in the knee. We have a nice separation of that knee armor as well. It looks really cool. cool. Full 180 degrees there at the knee. Down here at the ankles, like I said, it doesn't have the same problem the ankle joint had for the Leo. It just plugs on this ball joint here, and it's going to be pretty much stuck there. It's on a ball joint, but you really can't move it around all that much. Just a little bit of rotation and movement there for that ankle armor. Otherwise, the ankles themselves can go really far side to side, very similar to kind of like the Iron Blood Orphans HG kits. So you have a really good range of movement there side to side for the ankles. Forward and back though, however, not quite as much as just on a ball joint, and so forward and back movement is just only going to be a little bit forward to there, back to there, but it's okay. It's one weak point that I can live with. Up underneath the feet, no hollow spaces, so that's also good. You've got some nice detail there, a little bit of hollow space I guess up underneath the toe there, sort of, but basically full detail up underneath the feet, so it's all good. And obviously you can see it just got hard points all over the place on this. Here on the chest as well, if you remove this middle section, you've got another hard point there at the center. And then for the backpack, if you remove this, like I said, you've got the standard 2-peg adapter system there for using with a bunch of different HG backpacks of recent build fighters, kits, and things like that. Though I wish you would have had a third peg there in the center, because some of the different backpack build custom sets use just a single peg, so it would have been nice to just have a single one there in the center as well. But I think they do also have some different adapters for that. Now here's the kit compared to your standard 1/44 scale Gundam there with the Gundam Mark II Revive kit. So you can see in total height it's going to be just a little bit smaller than your standard Gundam. But like I said, a lot of these parts are going to be easy enough to swap. So say for example you wanted to make his legs a little bit more bulky. There you go, now he's rocking some serious bulk in the legs, and feel free to not comment with your never skip leg day jokes. I'm all good on that, thank you so much. But anyway, obviously this is not going to be possible with every single HG kit ever. Some different HG kits use different joints, things like that. So if you want a good reference, I always tell people whenever they ask to just look at dalong.net. Dalong.net is just a very good reference site for looking at the different kits, and you can see scans of all the different manuals, so you can see like how the joints go together, and you can check on that. If it looks like a different leg joint for that, then obviously it's not going to work. This one is a little bit different actually, because the Mark II's legs use the polycap, and this one just uses a hard point just straight into the polystyrene plastic there, but you get the idea. Let's try out some other option parts. So this is just going to be a couple of different random option sets that I'm pulling out just for examples, but again, you can use a lot of different stuff. Not everything, some different parts sets, use different adapters, things like that, as I've been saying, but even for those parts or the adapter doesn't work quite right, really all you need is just a 3mm drill, and that is pretty much all you need, and some glue. If you need just pegs, a lot of the runners that you get with the kits, a lot of them happen to be that the runner is just in 3mm size, so just measure that or just check and see if that works. You just cut off a piece of runner and there you go, you've got a peg. Then all you really need is a drill to make a hole if you need to make a hole, and just some glue, and you're pretty much set. Anything that you possibly need is pretty simple to do as far as modifying different parts that don't quite fit just right. So it really seems to be that the goal for these kits is just to make them highly customizable and affordable, so Bandai's making them all relatively cheap, and then they're just really highly customizable with different part sets that they're making specifically for these, or different part sets that you can get from different series and things like that. So they're meant to be very highly customizable, and you're meant to buy a lot of them, which is a pretty good business plan that Bandai has nailed down. People have said that it does seem like Bandai's sort of attempt to cut into like the market that Kotobukiya has with their frame arms kits, with them being like highly customizable base kits among the frame arms line. It's kind of, I don't know, I think Bandai is definitely sort of maybe taking that as their inspiration, or maybe taking it to the next level by making their kits really super cheap and affordable and simple. Kotobukiya kits definitely like to keep their kits very complicated, focusing a lot more on part separation and really fine details and super sharp parts and things like that. And there's other factors as well in terms of why Kotobukiya kits just in general cost more. It's just a much smaller company compared to Bandai and other processes that are involved in their production, but I won't get into that anyway. But as for the base kit itself and what you get in the box here, it's pretty cool. I have to admit, it's a lot more fun than I was expecting, so definitely planning on picking up some more of these in the future. The next one is like the very Zaku looking inspired one. Really not too sure about that, because I really don't really like the design much, but I don't know, maybe I'll try it out and I'll come around like I did with this kit as well. Who knows, we'll see when that one comes out in the pretty near future. But I've got to tell you guys, even if you're like me and you're not really too keen on the design at first, just pick one up. It only costs between $10 and $15 for one of these. Pick one up, try it out, and at the very least you've got your base kit that you can try out some customization on, do some sort of customization to it to make it into something that you'll like, even if just the base kit straight out of the box is not something that you find too appealing. Now, one thing I did want to also point out is that between the 3 kits that are out now, it's just 3 different versions of the Alto, the white, this yellow, and the blue version. There's obviously, if you paint, it doesn't really matter which version that you get, you can obviously just paint it in a different color, but the one thing that is different, that's a little bit harder to paint, is the clear visor. The clear visor is a different color on each one, so if you wanted, for example, a blue clear visor on your kit, then you've got to get one particular version, or like if you wanted a red clear visor, then you've got to get this version. Obviously, it's hard to change the color of a clear part, so that is one thing to keep in mind if you are planning on getting one and you want to paint it into a custom color scheme. And even if you don't paint, one thing that we saw on the outside of the box in the unboxing as well was that they were advertising that you can mix and match the parts of the different kits. So if you buy like all 3, the white, the yellow, and the blue version, and you wanted to have it have blue arms and a white head and yellow body, something like that, of course you can mix and match. It's the same kit, so you know, mixing those parts and making a custom color scheme just among the different parts of the kits is easy enough to do without any painting at all. So really cool kits, and highly recommend you guys check out the line. Thanks so much for watching the video. If you have any other further questions or comments, feel free to leave those down below. Obviously there's a whole lot of other different custom combinations that I could have tried out with this, with the available part sets and other different part sets and other different weapons that I've got laying around here, all sorts of different things you could try. But just wanted to show you guys a handful of examples, so hopefully you get the idea that it's just highly customizable. That's it for the review, guys. I'll see you next time. Bye bye.